both to them and their geographical area. For more information or to sign up, call 743-1864.
If you've got aches, pains, and soreness, it could be chronic inflammation.
Western Carolina,
Listen to what Dave
this year,
has to
those
say about
same
relief
type of ball games, we didn't win any of them except Mercer. But that had nothing to do with where I'm at today. It's just time. I felt very much at peace. Scott and I talked a couple of weeks ago in doing what I'm getting ready to do.
For more information about Relief Factor and the 2-week quick start for just $19.95, go to relieffactor.com. That's relieffactor.com.
Give joy, get joy right now at Kohl's and take an extra 25% off. With an extra 25% off, Cuddle Duck throw pillows are $11.24 each, or a Keurig K55 is $74.99, and holiday jammies for the family are 50% off, plus an extra 25% off. Santa's on his way to Kohl's this Sunday from 1 to 3 p.m. All the jolly details are at Kohl's.com/Santa. Give joy, get joy at Kohl's. Select styles, 25% off or valid December 7th through 9th with promo code Santa. Some exclusions apply. See store at Kohl's.com for details.
Tri-City Sports Now, we're coming back talking about Carl Torbush, who is no longer the head football coach at ETSU. While we're now on Facebook Live, he's talking to individual reporters. Thought a little bit about, and perhaps I will go into a little bit. Are they still doing the individual reporting? They are, actually. So I might go back, if we have time, after my initial comments, on the conversations given by ETSU President Brian Nolan, Carl Torbush himself, and of course Scott Carter, the athletic director at ETSU. I would imagine that if Torbush is, for now, sticking around until a new coach could be named, that tells me they're not looking at the current staff to continue. And that means that they are unhappy with the 11-22 mark that Carl Torbush has put out, and perhaps even a different change in philosophy. Let's face facts. Carl Torbush, always saying, I don't want transfers. I don't want any transfers. Well, he's got 13 transfers on his team right now. Steve Forbes, and I know there's a lot of difference between football and basketball in terms of recruiting and assembling a roster, a lot of big difference. But Steve Forbes obviously embracing the JUCOs, embracing the transfers. And, that's basketball culture. We get that. But still, the success of ETSU in hoops with that philosophy and the lack of success on the gridiron cannot be understated. Yet still, to the up to the last post-game show on the radio network that he was talking about, what do you do when the JUCOs go away and all this? Well, possibly the same thing that'll happen when, say, Austin Henrick graduates after the following season. You'll find a new quarterback. You better. Brian Nolan talked about Torbush instilling a culture at ETSU. The problem is that culture is 11-22. Is this the culture you want to continue on? I don't know if it is. I have said, and I do believe, Torbush is the biggest name hire ETSU Sports has ever had. He was the coach at North Carolina. They had never hired someone who had been a head coach at such a prestigious institution. Murray Bartow had coached at UAB. We'll give you that. He'd been the head coach there, but pretty much else, it was all assistants from other programs. Les Robinson came in from the Citadel. Citadel isn't North Carolina. Trying to think of other Don Riley came from UCLA, but he was a defensive coordinator. No one knew who he was. Mike Ayers didn't come from a big program. In other words, and I know it was indirectly, but nobody had that major college coaching experience as a head coach in ETSU history before coming into their program. And if it is, it was at a sport that just isn't as prominent as football. Torbush came in talking about that the biggest criticism of me is that I'm old school, and he started talking about manners. And that, I think manners are manners. I hope manners come into the future. And I thought that might have been one of the problems with Torbush, is that he did sometimes come across as very stuffy. Case in point, eliminating the use of Hell's Bells to come out onto the field. That was tradition at ETSU. He did away with it. We can't have hell's bells, Goods on the left, we're sticking to the right. We can't have that, Well, I mean, that is old school, but that's also really out of touch. Yes, sir, no, sir. That's not out of touch. Mention a little bit about wearing your pants the right way. Yes, I'm down with that. I'm not big on wearing your pants back down. I don't think it's a good look. I think it's a fad. But then again, one must also understand the fashion fads of every era. When I was a kid, I wore ripped jeans. They're coming back in. But yeah, I wore ripped jeans when I was a kid. The knees were out. Hey, I was from East Tennessee. Of course you were having, ripped jeans. Come on. People say, it ever went out of style? Ripped jean? In East Tennessee here. Torbush can't be all bad. He likes boiled peanuts. I didn't know that. He can't be all bad. Cajun is my favorite. That's my South Carolina roots right there showing up. Anyway. He spoke of how ETSU people support each other and all this. That sounds good. One must also understand the ETSU culture is one. And I don't know, maybe, Carter is saying that this retirement was Torbush, that he had wanted him back. And they're keeping him on until they can find a new coach, which, as I said, and I'm going to repeat myself here, but doesn't speak well of the current staff. Billy Taylor, who was very popular, and the second guest we ever had on Tri-City Sports Now, or a Mike O'Kane, who had previously been the head coach at NC State, and he is currently the offensive coordinator at ETSU. Doesn't speak well of either of those two guys getting the job. Would you want them? They're 11-22. That's the question. Taylor is a guy that, yes, I would love to see him get the job. Doesn't look like he will, but I would love to. Not only was he a guest here, but he has been a good friend to me. Was part of the BFFF Buccaneer Football Foundation friends that I was a part of as well. I would love to see him get the job. I don't know if he's going to get it, because if Torbush is sticking on and they had days to prepare this press conference, wouldn't you at that point say, and now here's my loyal assistant, Billy Taylor. He's the new head football coach. Hit the ground running at that point. They didn't do that. That tells me they'd be looking at somebody from elsewhere. There's already, on the internet, I'm reading, Billy Taylor. He's a loyal ETSU guy. He left Tennessee Tech to come here to be the defensive coordinator, here being Johnson City, Tennessee, or the Tri-Cities. Like I said, myself as Marky Bilson, I would like to see Billy Taylor as the head coach. As the journalist, I have to look back, and I think this is what ETSU is doing and saying, 11-22. How'd that secondary work out for you, Bill? Yeah, now you want promoted? It's coaching. It's tough business. There are certain things, but talking about supporting each other, look, I got to tell you, at ETSU, it's like when Donald Trump said I could go out in the middle of the street and shoot someone and my supporters would still be behind me. At ETSU, you have to do that to really have them speak ill of you. They're talking about, he provided a culture of ETSU football. They're 11-22. At ETSU, everything is good and wonderful, and woe be the person that points out, you were 4-7 last year. They just, they do not, they put that front up, and even when times are bad, they're going to tell you that times are sensational. He mentioned that there was now criticism. He says, we know we arrived because there was criticism. And by the way, it looks like, are we still having the one-on-one? We're going to have one-on-one with Scott Carter. I'm going to go to him because I want to see if he has any insights on who the next coach will be. This is Scott Carter, and we'll come back with Jay Santos at 1.